Welcome back, brothers and sisters. Tim, Braden, Second Legacy, you are amazing. And oh, do we have something that's so amazing for you. You're going to love it. You're going to shout it from the rooftops. You are going to smile from ear to ear. And if you don't, you might be dead. Check the pulse. Because we have some information that Trump just did that skirted under the radar. What would you do if I told you guys sitting out there that one of the top lawyers in the upcoming White House administration argued the FRT case and won against the ATF in the Fifth Circuit? The force reset triggers. Yeah, this is setting out to be a field day. Everything I'm going to show you right now, guys, I hope you enjoy. Me and Tim are going to have some fun. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. And with that, Tim, doth it sound too good to be true? It does a little.
Yeah, but I was kind of hoping he'd go into a different position, but I'll take it.
No. Let's take the victories as they come.
White House lawyer is good. And this
right
in contrast to
right
Bondi, who he wants as his AG, who supports red flag laws. Huh?
I hate that.
Yeah,
but I love that he'll be in the conversation.
Yeah. So
it's contrast. Yeah.
You have one guy that he's appointing that clearly is on the right side of the argument. Then he has his AG pick, which is clearly on the wrong side of the argument. And
very true.
So it's kind of sending mixed signals here. And you know what I think this really boils down to, man? And I've said this since 2016. Trump was out there and he's always pandered to the 2A community, right? Oh, I'm pro 2 gun. Shows up at every NRA event. I'm pro 2A, I'm pro 2A. And then he does things like take the guns first, due process later, or ban bump stocks. I don't think he's anti-gun. It's just that I don't think 2A issues are at the forefront of his mind or his policy agenda. His son, Don Jr., is very pro-gun, and he has his father's ear. Then you have Ivanka, who's very anti-gun, who has her father's ear. And then, of course, you have the Republican Party that's like, hey, dude, you don't want to anger this group. You remember 94, So
they're spicy.
Yeah. So I don't know that he chose this person because of their 2A stance or what they've accomplished for the 2A cause.
Don't care.
But it's still a good pick,
Don't care. It's still great.
Yeah. So
don't even care. So Trump, in my personal opinion, I think Trump puts people in place, and whatever they tell him, he trusts his people. So I think, honest to God, his philosophy in life is put the best people around you, put the best people in positions, and then trust what they tell you. I really think that's what he does, which would explain why he did those things, and then he has an about face that's in contrast to words he said. Personally, that's just a hypothesis, but let me show you what they're doing here, guys, because this, you haven't heard this anywhere else. This guy, I'm here for it, okay? So this was released on December 4th, 2024, so this is just like a few days ago, okay? Listen to this. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump on Wednesday reversed course and selected David Warrington, remember that name, as his top White House lawyer, reassigning his previous choice, William McGinley, to a role working with Elon Musk outside government efficiency group. Warrington, who has served as Trump's personal counsel and lawyer for his campaign, currently leads the political law unit at the Dillon Law Group, where he is a partner. And that's a very conservative law group, a law firm, okay? As we scroll down, this whole article, the first one we're showing you, excuse me, this one is all about really the other person, but they're mentioning David Warrington, okay? And at the very end here, this is where it gets sweet, and then I'll show you what he actually did. Warrington has also served as a lawyer for Michael Flynn, Trump's national security advisor during his first White House term, and led a lawsuit for the National Association for Gun Rights over forced reset triggers. Now, this guy, we're about to dive into the forced reset trigger thing, but just as a primer, Tim, in case someone hasn't caught up, you want to run through what an FRT is real quick, just so they can kind of be up to speed?
Yeah. So basically, a forced reset trigger is a trigger that allows you to shoot more quickly than perhaps you might normally be able to. Now, there's plenty of people out there with Jerry Mitchell type fingers that can take a Geisley, SSC trigger and just, rip, and just, you couldn't tell their semi-automatic fire from full auto just because they have such fast trigger fingers, but the average shooter just doesn't. So the FRT was a mechanical design that is in 100% compliance with the NFA law of 1934, which mandates that, coupled with the Gun Control Act 1968, there's elements in both, but it mandates that the gun can only fire with one function of the trigger. If it fires more than one time with one function of the trigger, then it's considered a machine gun. Well, the FRT, it cycles the trigger every single time. It just uses a little mechanical reset feature to help push the trigger forward while you continue rearward pressure, which then it allows you to pull the trigger again once the firearm has reset and reloaded itself. And so it allows you to fire a bit more quickly, but it is 100% in compliance with law as it's written.
Yes.
And that has really upset the anti-gunners.
They don't like it. They don't like
Nor
it
does
at
the
all.
ATF. The ATF has had a problem with it. They've been around harassing people for the last 4 years over it.
They have. In fact, they just got so smoked that they had to go and reimburse everybody and return any property that they seized because they overstepped so bad. Darn it. You hate to see it.
And just shut them down. I mean, and that's, yeah, it's such a joke. And I mean, everybody knew that it was not a violation of law. They just didn't like that it allowed you to shoot more quickly. And this spawned an entire conversation around, well, you know, what's too fast? Maybe we should ban how fast a gun can fire. If this trigger is okay, then let's say, well, if you fire over, 300 rounds a minute, which I can easily do with an 8-pound military spec trigger in an AR-15, well, then it's a machine gun because you could shoot it that fast, right? They tried that, folks. So basically, they banned every semi-automatic. I made jokes where I was writing a serial number on my finger so I could register my finger with the NFA. But yeah.
You're so witty and clever.
That was back in the IG days before I dumped that communist trash.
before they were like, you can't get any new followers. Sorry. Yeah. But we're all about free speech. Guess who's begging Trump for a position right now? Old Zuckerberg, anyway. Old Zucky. Old Zucky Zuck.
Wants to get on the right side of history. After being
Zucky,
on the wrong side for so long.
Oh, that commie. Yeah, so something that you just hit on, and this is awesome before I show you guys what the other piece to this, because there's 2 articles. This was a big argument in the bump stock case. You guys remember the Cargill case, the one where we won the Cargill case and bump stock basically led us to another victory at the Supreme Court. Well, the liberal justices, Kagan, Sotomayor, and Ketanji Brown Jackson, or Jackson Brown, whatever, you know, that part, the other SCOTUS, the new one. They were focusing very heavily on how fast it fires and how it sounds like a machine gun from the rate of fire. And the only thing that they could try to land with a small little helicopter pad was the fact that it was faster than its others. And it was almost like the speed of a machine gun, but it wasn't a machine gun. It lost. The argument completely lost. Michael Cargill won that case. But that's what Tim was referencing. Their whole argument on these FRTs is, well, yes, it follows the statutory language of the NFA, but it's firing so much faster, and that's the intent of the NFA. So even though it's not what it says, it's what we want, and that was the whole argument.
Right. Okay? And bump stocks, folks, in essence, accomplish the same thing as an FRT trigger.
Only on the other side.
The FRT is actually, something that's actually practical, and for the most part works pretty well. So that's why it angers them.
And now, so Dr. Slides, let's jump over to the second article. This is the U.S. judge blocks Biden administration's FRT ban. So this is from July 24th, 2024. Again, remember I told you that name, going back to our original point, David Warrington, okay? If we scroll down here, I can show you a federal judge in Texas has overturned a Biden administration ban on forced reset triggers, aftermarket accessories that allow the AR-15 type rifles to be fired more rapidly by automatically returning the trigger to its starting position. That's what Tim just explained. This is the case that we covered with U.S. District Judge Reed O'Connor in Fort Worth, Texas on Tuesday, ruling that the ATF had gone beyond its legal authority in 2021 when it decided to classify forced reset triggers as machine guns. Okay, so that's the whole point. They overstepped their bounds and they lost in the court systems. But the guy who argued it is now the top lawyer in the White House.
Let me add something to that really quickly, though. They lost twice on that issue, right?
They did.
So they lost in the courts because it's not a machine gun, and then how they got there was through the abuse of Chevron deference, which they lost that argument in the Supreme Court as well. Mm-hmm. So the ATF is just, somebody kneecapped them. I mean, the Supreme Court kneecapped them, and then the lower circuit court kneecapped them. And this is all good news for us as gun owners. But anyway, I had to throw that in there.
No, that's a great add-in. So listen to some of the language, and this is why it's so important, because the language that was argued by David Warrington, the guy who is now the top lawyer at the White House for Trump coming in, he's also the one that argued the National Association for Gun Rights argument in this case, because they're the ones that brought it. Quote, "But no matter how terrible the circumstances, there is never a situation that justifies a court altering statutory text that was democratically enacted by those who are politically accountable. The responsibility belongs exclusively to Congress. And this is from NAGR. Quote, we are absolutely thrilled that the court has dealt such a decisive blow to the ATF's unconstitutional overreach. Hannah Hill, executive director of NAG's legal arm, the National Foundation of Gun Rights, said in a statement. And that's kind of the cherry on top. Whether you like certain gun groups, whether you like certain advocacy groups, I am leaving that so far over there in the corner, I don't care. My whole point here is the guy who is affiliated with the National Association for Gun Rights, who argued their case before the Supreme Court, well, in this case, the Fifth Circuit, who overruled the ATF and gave them a backhand, I almost said something else, started with a B. You guys figure it out. A backhand around FRTs is now the top lawyer. That's, you know what? That's pretty good, Tim. And there's no confirmation needed for this one.
Yeah. Nope. I'll take it. I just wish maybe he was the AG pick, but whatever. We'll get around it. But we'll
get around it.
This.
Yeah. We'll get around it. And by the way, at the very end,
I try to tell people. Yeah, I try to tell people, look, there's going to be good picks and bad picks. You're not going to agree with everything a politician says. You're not going to agree with every pick that they make, right? The ultimate takeaway from the Trump win is that we in the two-way community win with his reelection. We just do.
Yes.
And people say, and I've fought this so many times, like, well, what about the bump stock ban? You were a plaintiff in a court case and sued the government. And yes, that is absolutely true. But the alternative was Harris. I mean, she literally wanted to ban everything under the sun. And I also know that Trump isn't with the whole bump stock thing, and I don't want to get too far off in the weeds, but that was the NRA's doing. Right after all that stuff went down, the NRA came out and said that we believe that bump stocks are machine guns and should be regulated. And then Trump took the same position. He was listening to the pro-gun group that was screwing us all over.
That's exactly correct.
Yeah. So yes, I'm fine with, I think Trump, if we can keep ourselves, and this is where the Second Amendment community cannot go to sleep right now, like we did in 2016. We have the White House, the House, and the Senate. We have 2 years before midterms, folks. Last time around, when Trump got in, we all sat on our hands and twiddled our thumbs and did nothing, right? We didn't press the advantage. We were just all content that for the next 2 years at least, there'd be no more anti-gun legislation we would have to worry about. So let's just go shoot our guns and have a good time. Bad strategy. What we need to do is take this advantage, undo Chevron, which has been done, turn back all these ATF regulations that we were just talking about, not just on FRT triggers and bump stocks, folks. The ATF has classified boot strings as machine guns. All this stuff needs to be undone. All these ridiculous bans on armor-piercing rifle ammunition, it's armor-piercing on its own. It doesn't need a steel core to be armor-piercing. I mean, all these restrictions and things they just made up out of whole cloth, even when legislators that wrote the law came out and wrote letters to the ATF saying, hey, this is in violation of the spirit of the law. We never intended you to ban rifle ammunition with our act. Just throw that in the trash. We're going to do it anyway. All that ends.
Well, they did the exact same thing, if you recall. That's true. They did the exact same thing, if you recall, with the Safer Communities Act, and they defunded all the hunting programs, like even archery programs in deep blue states like Montana and West Virginia, where the Democrats were like, whoa. Yeah. Good job, guys. Good job. Y'all did great work. And the last thing I wanted to show you as we take this video out, right here, Dr. Slides has it pulled up. National Association for Gun Rights v. Garland. This is for plaintiffs David Warrington of the Dillon Law Group. It is 100% the same guy. So just so you guys see right there, that's an article from July. And then what I just showed you from December 4th, we have it dyed in the wool NAGR endorsed lawyer from endorsed law firm who argued at the Fifth Circuit, who beat the ATF backhanded right next to Trump as the top lawyer. That's a pretty good place.
I'll take it. Absolutely take it. So, and I'm sure there's going to be other good picks. I mean, we got so many out there waiting for confirmations, and we'll see how all that goes. And if any of them have anything to say or do with the Second Amendment, we'll certainly make videos about that. As you guys well know, thank you for watching Second Legacy, and we'll talk to you guys soon.